In this demonstration, we're going to solve a series of trouble tickets. We're going to take what we've learned throughout this course and put it to the test. The first issue that we need to solve is end users are not able to register to Unified Communication Manager or to IM and Presence using Jabber. So they've asked us to take a look, and we're going to fix that. Once that's done, we're going to solve the next issue, which is apparently there's an intern that works at globalmantics.com, the company that's asked us to solve their problems. Well, this intern decided that they didn't need to take the Pluralsight implementing telepresence endpoint course. So they just went ahead and made some configuration changes on their own. Well, the end result is that users can't call one another. They've asked us to come in, take a look, and fix their issue. So that's what we're going to do. We're logged into our Unified Communication Manager, and this is the server that has the phones that are registered or the phones that are trying to get registered, the ones that are causing the problems. Let's go take a look. We're going to go to Device, Phone, Find, and as we can see, we've got a Jabber phone that's not registered, and it should be. Should be registered, and we've also got a 9971 that is registered. The problem is that even when Owen's Jabber phone was registered, couldn't send and receive calls to the 9971. So we've got a few problems. Starting with, we need to figure out why Owen's Jabber phone won't register to this database. And once we get the phone registered, we can solve the next issue, which is going to be calling. So those are the problems. Now what do? Where do we start? Does anybody know? Any suggestions? Anybody? Where? Well, no. Okay, yes, we could call Cisco TAC. That's right. However, we may be able to solve this problem first without having to escalate it. Any other suggestions? Yes, you. Go ahead, ma'am. That's an excellent point. In order to solve a problem, we need to know exactly what the problem is. Otherwise, we're stuck with just, it won't let me. And we need more information than that. We need to know exactly what works, exactly what doesn't work, and that will help us figure out what's wrong and where to find the solution. So to get started, we're going to take her suggestion, which you may not have heard. I mean, she did speak pretty softly. But her suggestion was, can we ping? Can we go to the computer that has the Jabber client, and is that computer able to reach the Unified Communication Manager server? Because if the computer can't ping the server, that means the Jabber client won't be able to communicate. We have a network issue. So the first step is to find out if we have a network issue. So from the computer that's running the Jabber client, we're going to ping 10.1.5.15. And we get a reply. So we know that network connectivity works from the source to the destination, so we can eliminate that. Now let's go take a look at the Jabber client information on Unified Communication Manager. Back here on the CUCM server, we're going to examine the Jabber client. And remember, we've got the user, the phone, and the phone number. They all have to be tied together in order to use Jabber. Let's take a look at the phone. We're going to select the CSF Owen. And when it comes to registering, there's not a lot to look for. So we're going to make sure that we've got a user associated to the phone. We do, Owen. And then the phone needs to have the right profiles, which it does. It has the standard device security profile for the CSF client. That's all standard operating procedure for Jabber. And then we need to make sure that it has a number. It does. It has the 2002 extension. We'll select that. We need to make sure that the user Owen is associated to the number as well. And that's way at the bottom. So let's go down to the bottom. There's Owen Doe. He's associated to the number. So we verified that the user Owen is associated to the phone and to the number. We verified that the number, 2002, is associated to the phone. Let's go take a look at the user account. User management, end user. Click find, select Owen. Now let's take a look. Owen's got a directory URI. That's great. That means we can call him at owen@globalmantics.com, but it doesn't have the slightest thing to do with getting him registered. A lot of troubleshooting is just knowing what to look for. I mean, what is troubleshooting really? It's simply configuring it properly. Because if everything's configured properly, it just works. The reason it's not working is because something is not configured the way that it needs to be. We just need to figure out what that is. Let's make sure that the device, CSF Owen, which is a Jabber client, is associated to the user. We can see here that it is. So the device is associated to the user is associated to the device, all that stuff. If we scroll down, we can see that the primary extension, 2002, is also associated to Owen. Everything looks to be in order. Could be a DNS issue. Let's go back up and verify that. Wait a minute, right there. That overlooked checkbox. It's not just the Jabber client trying to sign on to Unified Communication Manager. The Jabber client also needs to sign on to the IM and Presence server. And how does it do that? Because of this checkbox right here, the one that we didn't have checked. The one that says enable user for Unified CM, IM, and Presence. Let's go ahead and save. Then we'll drop back down and, well, before we go, we should also change the service profile to Jabber because the service profile has the user settings that tell the Jabber client where to find IAM and presence. Here, I'll show you. We'll go to User Management, User Settings. We've got the user profile, which is Jabber, and it contains the UC service, or a lot of UC services. But that Jabber profile contains all of these services. And the one that it needs is the IAM and presence service. This has the IP address of the presence server, 10.5.18. The only way the Jabber client knows how to reach the server is because of that profile, which needs to be associated to the user. It wasn't. The user couldn't sign in. Let's see if this works. We're going to see if the user Owen can sign into Jabber. Back here at the Jabber client, we're going to type in the password and see if the user Owen can sign in. It can't, but I don't really trust that. So what we're going to do is click the settings, file, and we're going to reset Jabber. This is going to wipe out the old configuration, and it should allow Jabber to sign in with new, fresh credentials. Okay, we've reset Jabber. We've typed in Owen at globalmantics.com, and we're back to the password prompt. So we're going to try again. And that was it. We needed to check the Jabber profile on the user Owen, and then we needed to reset the Jabber client, sign back in with our normal credentials, and we're back in. We're ready to send and receive calls. Speaking of which, that's the next problem that we need to solve. We should be able to call 2001. That's the SIP 9971 phone that's registered. It has the 2001 extension. Well, Jabber should be able to reach that. Let's find out. 2001.
Your call cannot be completed as dialed.
Now we need to examine the dial plan. And that's something that I've done thousands of times. So I'm going to go ahead and take the lead on this. Let's go back to Unified Communication Manager. There's a golden rule that I try to live by when it comes to living in the unified communication world, and that is source always needs permission to call destination. So let's examine the facts. The source of the call, device, phone, is going to be the Jabber client. Let's select it. What permissions does the Jabber client have? What calling search space does it have? Well, it does not have a calling search space on the phone. Okay, well, it can have a calling search space on the phone number. So let's go take a look. Under 2001, calling search space, it does not. So our Jabber client does not have permissions. Now, this doesn't necessarily mean the call will fail. Let's go take a look at the destination. Every destination in the database can always be found, without exception, by going to Call Routing, Route Plan Report. Every destination the Unified Communication Manager knows about. Click Find, and we can see the two numbers, 2001, 2002. But notice both of them have a partition. A partition is a lock. So if you're going to call either one of these numbers, the source needs the key. The only way you get the key is via the calling search space. Our phone didn't have a calling search space, so it doesn't have permission to call these numbers. To give it a calling search space, we're going to go to Call Routing, Class of Control, and we're going to examine the calling search spaces that we have. Click Find. The name of the calling search space is Phones. Now that's fine, but the name of the partition was Phones as well. And that can get really confusing. I mean, it's hard enough to sort out what a partition does versus what a calling search space is without giving them the same name. So I would definitely recommend that we change the name of one of them. It doesn't really matter. We just need to perhaps add CSS to it or change it to some other name. Just differentiate it in some manner from the name that's on the partitions. Click Save. Now we need to make sure that whoever gets this calling search space has access to the phones partition. It does. It's already there. So it looks like the calling search space has the partitions. We just need to associate this to our phone. Let's go back to Device, Phone. We're going to select Owen's Jabber device. Scroll down and we're going to assign the permission to the phone. We could also assign it to the number. What's the difference? Well, there's not really a difference on a Jabber client. But if it was a physical phone sitting on a desk, then any Tom, Dick, or Harry that walked by that picked up the phone would be able to call numbers because the phone has a calling search space. If you assign it to the number, well, then the number needs to be signed into the phone in order to make the call. It's a little bit more complex. We're just showing you that you can assign permission to either place. We've assigned it to the phone. Click Save. Click Reset. Click Reset again. Close. Now at this point, since we're dealing with the Jabber client, I would go to the Jabber client, sign out, and then sign back in. To do that, we're going to go to Settings, Sign Out, or Exit, rather. We'll just close it, and then we'll start it back up again. Prompts us for a password. We're in, and let's place the call. 2001. And there it is. Works perfectly. We've demonstrated how to troubleshoot Jabber so that our users can sign in. We've demonstrated how to troubleshoot the dial plan so that our Jabber clients can send and receive calls. And that brings us to the end of a module that was crammed full of information that's going to help make sure that you can answer any question that comes your way. In this module, we examine Cisco Telepresence endpoint components and settings that are used to both deploy and troubleshoot Cisco Telepresence endpoints. On behalf of all of us at Pluralsight, we want to thank you for spending your time with us and for allowing us to help prepare you with implementing Cisco Telepresence endpoints. In the next course we're building, we're going to be configuring telepresence servers. We're going to demonstrate how to configure VCS, which controls the endpoints, TMS, which controls scheduling. We're going to show you how to set up and administer the server side of telepresence.